Hi everybody, happy Thursday. Welcome to Mosaic Maria. My name is Maria. So I come to you from my bedroom where the lighting is pretty good. It's about as good as we're gonna get. We have sunshine into windows and it will be going in and out, so I'll be adjusting the lighting. So I want to say hello to everybody and tell you I miss you guys and I hope everyone's doing good. And I just posted a food video, of course. Because whenever I want to talk about anything, I usually cook, bake, or crochet or knit. And so today I'm going to share a pattern while I'm crocheting. I'm using stash yarn that I really want to use up, and this is just basic brown, and it's from Mainstay Yarn, the Church of Walmart, walmart.com. And I believe I got this for $1.79, 7-ounce skein. I've used some of it already. This hat is called the 3-hook hat, and this is the hat. And it is by Bendy Carter, B-E-N-D-Y, Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R. And it can be found at Knit and Crochet Now TV, episode 1104A-N, like Nancy, B like Victor. It's a number 3 on ease of ability. It's a basic. So if you know how to slip stitch, crochet chains, double crochet and half double crochet, it should be pretty easy. So you need 3 different crochet hooks and a skein of yarn, 4 medium worsted weight yarn. So what it calls for is a 4.0 G hook. Can't see that, right? Got it the wrong way. I still have it the wrong way. I still have it the wrong way. No, no, no. I'm looking at it backwards, right? But I'm sure you can see it. No. 4.0. It's a 4.0 G hook, right? The band around your head and the ribbing is going to be made with the G hook. And then you're going to graduate for the body to an I hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. No dusting. He's been waiting to do this, my cat. He's been waiting to grab these. He's right here beyond the monitor. I said the minute I go to do a video, he's going to grab my I know he does this every time I knit and crochet. And then you're going to need an H hook. No, these are not toys, Dustin. No. You need an H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter for the crown, to shape the crown of the hat. So there's 3 different sizes, and this is another picture of it. And it's a small, a medium, and a large. I'm going to be making the small. The pattern is written in the small, and in the parentheses is medium and large, can be found. So they're using Stacy Charles Fine Yarns Siesta Bio Merino Nuage Medium Virgin Wool. I really like this. It's like a sous chef kind of hat kind of thing. I like it for summertime and autumn and winter too. But I guess you could make it really heavy and warm with wool, or you could drop down to a fingerling DK yarn and get yourself a nice little cap for all season, like a little beanie to wear if you're doing kitchen work and cooking and stuff. Or you just are outside and you want to keep your hair out of the pollen. We're coming into that spring where every time you walk outside and it's windy, the pollen is blowing everywhere and you don't want to get it in your hair. I don't want it in my hair. Okay, so if you're making the small, you're going to go ahead and chain 79. If you're making the medium, 85, and the large, 91. I can't really share much more of the pattern with you because it would be a copyright infringement. So what I can tell you is this is a paid pattern but I am a member of Annie's catalog, who posts all these beautiful patterns all the time. They're in PDF form. They have video tutorials which show you all the special stitches. And usually when there's a crochet hat, there will be a knit one that's similar, so that if they're doing something in crochet, you can also, if I could find it, no, it's not there. You can also do this in all my patterns on it. I have shamrock, I have all kinds of stuff I want to do. Here's one. So same idea, but knitted, and this is called the Chica Beanie. I think this was designed by I'm just doing a whole lot of stuff today. I'm making some chemo caps. Okay, so this is the Chica Beanie. So same idea, a little bit lighter. And this one is designed by Lena Skurgovicson. I can never say your name right, I'm sorry. Lena Skurgovicson. There we go. And this one is episode 1104A. And like Nancy V, like Victor. So you'll get the same kind of knit or crochet, same kind of idea. Although, well, not really. I was looking at one thinking it's more back. I think they're pretty in the back too. So they give you all the special abbreviations and stuff to do. And this one is just oh so easy. It really is. Unless you have a cat like I do that just walks away with your crochet hook, like he just did. Huh? I hit it. He didn't. I blamed him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dustin. Okay. So while I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and chain. So I wanted to talk about Wendy Williams, you guys. And I also wanted to talk about Graves' disease and hyperthyroidism. So, as you might all know, there was a docudrama on. I'm going to leave more of a tail because I'm going to sew at the end. Leave a little 10-inch tail, I guess. So, I never listened to Wendy on the radio, ever. In fact, I didn't know she was a radio jockey before she went on talk shows. So I started watching her on TV. And I was not like somebody who constantly watched. I just, when I caught the show, I caught the show. And I really loved her energy. I loved that she was spilling the tea, that she was talking about things in her own culture among Black artists and entertainers and Black and brown skin, that she wasn't afraid to go and talk about anybody really, didn't matter what color you were, but she was not going to show a preference to one culture. So she went in hard on her own people. And she is like the Black Joan Rivers. I hate to be describing people by their color, but I will say being a female, the only other person I can think of was Oprah Winfrey, that was out there, who was making things happen for their community. I know. So Wendy talked about everyone, Black, white, brown, whatever. Anything that caught her eye that seemed a little off or was in the news and just all over the news, she tried to make sense of. And sometimes she could be a little bit harsh, I guess. But I felt she always was willing to open it up to hear what people said. She wasn't coming out with her theory, conspiracy theory, speculation, accusation, or whatever. She wasn't like dropping information. She was being very careful. The lawyers on the show were always saying, just say allegedly, speculation, I don't know. But she was like that little bird that was whispering in people's ear all the time. By the way, now everything in me is not supposed to like a gossip. I know it's bad, but she didn't gossip. She did what Joan Rivers did. She asked the questions we all want to know. And she said the things we all were thinking, but didn't say out loud. So some of the things that takeaways that struck me from the docudrama was that this was supposed to be a comeback. She was coming back to her show after being away, pursuing health, and really after a myriad of health conditions that it seemed to be the docudrama was just looking at her alcohol, her substance use of the past and how transparent she's always been, that they used that as against her as a weakness because Wendy came forward and said she was having substance issue problems. She was living in a sober house. She did a lot of cocaine before she married her husband, but she stopped when she married her husband, Kevin Sr. And I feel like Wendy would have shared anything that people wanted to know, and she did. And I've always had a good vibe about Wendy. I felt like she wasn't comfortable in her own body, so people, like she went for big and glamorous and Hollywood, Hollyweird, and everything she needed to do, but she used common sense too. She really went through a lot of, I read her book, and she really went through a horrible time when she was a kid trying to be thin. She really was really almost, I don't want to say starved, but her food intake was really restricted from her mom, and she grew up just wanting to be thin, always wanted to have thigh gap, always wanting to have the perfect body. And she was a big bone thick child. And so she went through a lot, and she went to school, got very educated, and was willing to work hard for what she had. And so if she could pay for the body parts she wanted, I thought it was great. Some people have said, what is going on with the lymphedema with her? Any number of the surgeries that she had, including the 5 miscarriages, having to have Kevin Jr., her son, sewn into her uterus, could have caused her lymph nodes to have injury. Anything. Her breast surgery, double breast surgery, it's right around the lymph nodes. That could have caused it. So many things can cause lymphedema, but injury to the lymph nodes is a big one, and then it can be secondary to other things. What really I took away from it was that I felt like cognitively she was okay. I felt like in a lot of ways she was aware of everything that was going on with the cameras, but then wondering why certain things were happening too, which sounds like double talk, but it's not. Like, I picked up a vibe when her niece, Alex Finney, who is a reporter in Florida, who is her goddaughter, who she talked about on the show often, was suddenly there kind of schooling her aunt on the way the house was, the way she was, the way things were, the people that were around her. I felt like Wendy, I could see her body language change. Like, okay, Alex, that's enough. That's enough. Like this is, she had done it so many times on the show where she had gotten kind of pissed off at somebody, but stayed nice and just kind of tolerated them. and she was interviewing somebody, like all I could think of is Omarosa and well, lots of people, where she would just be like, whoa, 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 what just happened here? What is going on here? What do you think you're doing? You're changing the vibe of the room. This is not your moment. This is not your moment to take the microphone and pontificate. And that's what Alex was doing. With good reason. She was concerned for her aunt. But she was talking to Wendy in a way like Wendy was not aware, like Wendy was a child. And Wendy was like, I know what's going on. I already know. You don't have to tell me. She did the same thing with her nephew, Travis Finney, who I believe is her sister Wanda's children. I'm not sure about Travis. I believe Travis Finney is, I don't know if that's Alex's son or Wanda's. I didn't research that. But Kevin Jr., her son, is hanging around, is always with. He's like one or two times he's alone interviewed, which I thought was very uncomfortable and wrong for him to be alone and interviewed about his mom's health. Because he clearly had an understanding that his mom was healthier when he was the guardian. But I just feel like Travis and Alex and Wendy's sister have had a lot of influence on Kevin Jr. There were moments in the docudrama where the people that were asking questions that were doing the filming were asking him, well, what caused the dementia? The timing of it was so strange. They brought out the dementia, frontotemporal dementia and aphasia, same thing Bruce Willis has, early onset. Right away they went to alcohol induced. And it's just, to me, shady, maybe good friend, but shady and weird the way it looked. Manager running around picking up alcohol bottles and saying, did you drink this? Did you drink? When there were clearly other people there in that house with her that she was surrounded with, her caregivers that were driving her around, going here and there, and that were drinking alcohol too. So it wasn't like she was alone in the house. When Wendy was heard saying, shall we order in liquor and food? Shall we? So it appeared like she was doing all this drinking, but I don't think Wendy's dementia is alcohol induced at all. I really don't. What I noticed is the bulging eyes that, if you look closely at Wendy's father in the docudrama and Wendy's sister and even Wendy's son, they all have oblong, protruding eyes. They do. But when Wendy goes like this, her eyes really bulge out, and that's called thyroid eyes. But the fact that she could raise her eyebrows, be attentive to looking down on her sheet of paper, and her sight would go normal. And then when she went back like this, she would do this. So that's not really thyroid eye disease. Thyroid eye disease, your eyes are going, you can't really control them or focus. They're going off and about and wide. And usually they take on an appearance of you're always angry, or you're always excited, or raging or something. You look like this, like you're staring at them. It's sort of like Parkinson's. I had this happen to me in a store at Walmart. I found a bunch of yarns, and a bunch of them were in a bin. They all said on sale, 2 for $3. Years ago, when I first became hyperthyroid, and my eyes were really very much big. And it was before I got on medication because I didn't know I was hyperthyroid. And they were testing me, and they kept saying subclinical hyperthyroid. My TSH was like 0.01. My T4 was still staying like on the high end of normal. So they kept saying subclinical. And it wasn't until they realized I had multinodular toxic growths that they started looking for full panels and thyroid uptakes and everything, and ultrasounds. And I remember getting to the cash register with all this yarn. I was going to do a yarn haul. And I was like, oh my gosh. I asked several employees, are you sure this yarn is on sale? Are you sure this one? Because I could understand the economical ones being two for, $3, but some of the other ones were kind of higher end and they were going in the bin. And every employee that walked by that was putting them in the bin, I said, are you sure this? They were like Lion Brand and Premier Yarn. I was like, yes, they're all, yeah, these are them. Okay, so I get up to the cash register and this girl's bringing them up and she says, no, this is $7.99. These are two for, and I had a moment where I was like I knew it, like that moment where you just like, I knew it. So I asked 3 employees. I said, I knew that. I asked 3 employees back there and they all said yes while they were putting them in there. So you got to go take them out of the bin. I'll get a manager to go do that. I said, okay. So I was like feeling a little sad about that and hopping through my purse. And I was just standing there, just looking straight ahead. She said, stop staring at me. I'm not staring at you. She said, I'm going to call security. She said, I can't have a problem because you don't like the price of your yarn. And my friend was with me and she was like, she's not staring at you. That's her eyes. Some people, when they have long face, they have resting bitch face. And when you have hyperthyroidism or Graves' disease or Parkinson's, sometimes when it's not managed well, you will get a look like this when you don't mean it. You could be just doing this and your eyes are really protruding. So I noticed with Wendy, it's very manageable once you get the medication. There's even surgery you can have. So Wendy seemed to be able to control her eyeballs and them focus and go back into resting and moving back and forth and following. And then when somebody would say something, like if somebody said something that made us angry or sad or mad or whatever, we might go like that, right? When she did that, her eyes were extra big. But you go look at her sister, Wanda, her father, her son. They all have that ability to, if they got really mad, their eyes would do that. I want to say. So they were mentioning that in the docudrama, how she just looks so, psychotic and just out of it. I don't think so. I felt the energy change whenever her niece and her nephew would, when she met her son Kevin Jr. in the restaurant. She wasn't expecting the nephew. When he showed up, she was like, oh, hello. Like she really didn't, she was trying to get the message across to people like, I just want to talk to my son. When they were having family time, no disrespect to her sister, her niece, her nephew, she seemed to want the cameras to only be around her dad and her son and her. Now her son, they were asking her questions, and I don't know what that's all about. Although when Kevin Jr. became the guardian of his mother and she was in Miami, the people in New York, the producers and all said, you got to get back here, get back on stage. They did not want her in Miami. She was supposed to be on stage. They were having revolving co-hosts. She was supposed to be doing her show. So all of a sudden, if you see Wendy Williams with her son on the beach, eating fish, having juice, doing their vegan thing, being all healthy, in the sunshine, saying hello to everyone. Well, why aren't you here working? You're under contract. So get back here and get on the stage. They did that to Judy Garland. They did that to Marilyn Monroe. They did that to Elvis. They did that to Prince. They did that to Michael Jackson. They do that. The industry, you got a contract, come fulfill it. Okay, so Kevin Jr. wanted her to stay in Miami because they didn't want her to come back to the show. When she went back to New York is when her health started to go down, and that can be seen in the docudrama. They talk about that. and when she went to LA and New York. But she didn't want to stay in Miami. She wanted to get back on the stage. She kept talking about it, and she kept saying the same thing. She wanted to be able to take her wig off and auction it off as a prize. She wanted to be so transparent to say, okay, the wig comes off. This is me. There you go. Who wants it? She knew what she wanted to do. The other thing was, they're saying that Wells Fargo is saying that they put her under guardianship for her money because $100,000 was spent just on Grubhub alone when Kevin Jr. was the guardian, and the sister, Travis Finney's mother, I believe, or they were involved. So something happened with her sister Wanda where she was ready to be the guardian family, which is what you would rather have as family taking care of you other than an entity guardianship. They were guarding the money. So Wanda said she was going to classes to learn how to be the guardian, all that was happening, and then suddenly the wall came down and it shut. They said, bring her back, and they sent her away to a facility. They sent Wendy away. I think Wendy wanted to go away. I really do believe Wendy wanted to get away and get herself to a place of health again. And she knew she was around a lot of yes people. Her home was no longer safe and healthy. That stairway, all I could think of was Ivana Trump with the raggedy staircase and rug that everybody talked about. She could have fallen so easy with lymphedema. Her legs were so broken up. And I kept thinking she could have had an infection. For all anybody knows, she could have had sepsis or some kind of infection going into her blood that affected her ability to communicate, and could have made her cognitive and her personality changes and made her moody. Sepsis will do that. So will Graves' disease, which is what she has. If it was unmanaged, and it would have been unmanaged if she was drinking at all. If you're drinking, you really can't take the medication for Graves' disease. It's not recommended. So if she was drinking at all, she would have not taken the medication for the Graves' disease, and it would have been unmanaged. I've been looking at studies. There's only 2 thyroid conditions that can cause early onset dementia. That's hyperthyroidism with multinodular toxic growth, which is what I have, unmanaged, subclinical, and Graves' disease, unmanaged. So, and they even look at treating people with Alzheimer's and Lewey's and frontotemporal aphasia and dementia with thyroid medication and it working. So when people do get these dementias, elderly, they have found that when they give them antithyroid medication, it works. They've also found that it can be induced by too much iodine in supplements. It can be induced by not being on the right dosage of medication. It can be induced from too much stress. It can be induced by any viral infection that gets into the blood can cause dementia. So there's about 1 million things that could cause her to have personality changes and to stammer and to pause when she's in the middle of saying something and just be like, okay, let me start over. I just love Wendy. I think no matter what people say, I think she is another Joan Rivers who is a truther, who is willing to be transparent, authentic with herself, but out her own community for stupidity. She was the first person that came out and talked about Bill Cosby. She was the first person that came out and continued to come out talking about Sean Pitty, whatever. I don't even know what to call him anymore. And she always tried to go full circle with all the people that she had a problem with. Whitney when Whitney called in and said, "Hey, Wendy, you've been talking about me," she didn't back away from that, and it kind of really made her show. I just felt so sad. I've watched on rerun over and over again on Lifetime, back to back, these shows, and I read her book and I looked up all the diseases she's dealing with and the losses. Her mother died during the pandemic. Her husband, set up house with a younger woman down the street while she had just given birth to Kevin Jr. I mean, just, I really have a lot of respect for Wendy. And there's so many things I've thought of, and it'll probably come back to me, things that I've thought of that I'll probably do another video on. But she's just a real, I mean, I think before the internet even came on, she was the queen of spilling the tea and doing it in a very good manner, like not a raunchy manner, And I was thinking back in the day when I was growing up, we had gossip, we had celebrity entertainment stuff. We had Rona Barrett. Does anybody remember Rona Barrett? And she was another one that could sit there and say whatever, but she would actually have the celebrities on and say, well, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. All I could think of is Sloan out here on YouTube. Let's get into it. Let's deep dive. And, instead of speculating, go ahead, speak. The floor is yours. Have the people on. I really loved that about Wendy. And I really wish the best for Wendy, and I wish that she does come back and make such a comeback that it makes heads roll. I hope so. And I hope that her and her, I have to do this. Yeah, I'm there. I'll count, but I count, but also check it on your head circumference. I'm about an 18 to 19 circumference. So I'm going to probably take a few out. You can adjust. Just adjust your band when you do this. So that's Wendy. I really just am the other thing about Wendy, important. About the time it came out that Wendy had dementia was at the same time they were releasing the docudrama of her coming out. I don't know why they were still filming, if they knew she had dementia, whatever. But a little piece of news that is very significant that was kind of buried a little bit is that the executive producer, like the top executive producer of the Sherry Show, which the Wendy Show turned into, transitioned to the Sherry Shepherd Sherry Show. That executive producer was the executive producer for years for Wendy Williams' show and then Sherry Show. He was being investigated. Matt Uzzle, I believe his name is, Uzzle. He passed away under very strange conditions that they're calling a suicide in February, under being investigated by the parent company of the Wendy Show, the Sherry Show, Deborah and Mercury, which their parent company is Lionsgate, and their parent company is Disney and Warner Brothers. So there was some misappropriation of funds where $5 million was missing and not paid for the studio costs that they were in, going back to the Wendy Show all the way to the Sherry Show. So he was being investigated and asking for more time to show documents, and then he was found dead. Young man. And this was somebody Wendy was very close to, and Sherry. So I just find that information being buried very strange, and the timing even more odd. Okay, so I could see why Wendy would want to say, you know what, people are showing up dead. They got people coming around me. They're taking my money away. I'm going to go. I need to go away. And I can't trust my family. I can't trust nobody right now. I could see her saying that. Okay, that's all I want to say about that. I don't know the situation about Matt Ozil. Deborah and Mercury is in charge of the syndication of these shows. All I could think of is Twitch on the Ellen show. So that's been heavy on my mind. That these people are just dying. They're just all of a sudden they're depressed and suicidal. Okay, so the other thing is Princess of Wales, Caherine, otherwise known as Kate, because some media forms just keep calling her Kate with a K or Catherine with a C. So, I mean, I think it's, for me, it's pretty plain and clear, but I'm not a British person, so I'm not Canadian, I'm not British. I don't know how they run things, but I know what I think. And I think that so much of their life is on display and public that if she went to the hospital in January with a planned abdominal surgery, and those abdomen muscles, I'm telling you, because if you had open surgery ever, it is so hard to get back from that. You really have to, everything you try to do, you just got to hold a pillow against you. It's really hard to breathe, really hard to swallow, really hard to walk. You wouldn't want to be out in the public trying to like bend over and shake little children's hands and walk in heels. No. And so I really do believe Princess of Wales, Caherine, is just wanting complete privacy for modesty issues. And maybe when she gets to the other side of it, she'll want to talk about it. And maybe all the has added to the conspiracy theories out here. But some people have got her cloned, brain chipped, fight with Prince William, dead and gone. It just goes on and on. William with a girlfriend already. Of course, the whole eating disorder thing is out there that people think she's gone off to maybe her esophagus ruptured or part of her stomach. Maybe she had a hernia. Maybe she exercised too much. A million things. What I know is Princess Diana was never as thin as the Princess of Wales. Never. And not as tall. And so if I'm William, I'm going to be looking at some of the pictures of my wife and looking at her, and I'm going to be a little worried. So could he have sent her off for some surgery, for some maybe, I don't know, feeding tube, maybe repair of the esophagus, maybe something in her stomach, maybe a cyst? Because if we go and look at the pictures back at Christmas and the last pictures that were public with the whole family, it does look like she's holding her stomach and she's holding a little bit of a bump on her stomach and she's thin everywhere else. So maybe she had a cyst. Maybe she had a hernia. Maybe she had, there's a million things she could have had. She could have had an infection and they would have had to just keep her down. She could have just needed bed rest. I'm sure you could do that at the castle, but maybe she needed blood tests all the time or a PICC line or a center line or who knows. But I really just don't believe the craziness that's going on over Princess of Wales. I don't. I just think we just want to know where everybody is because we're so used to seeing them. And that's my take on where's Caherine, where's Kate, where's Wendy. I really do want to hear from Wendy soon. I want to hear I want to hear that she's well. And that's my thought about Wendy. And no disrespect to Alex or Travis. I'm sure they sound like they have the best interest of their aunt and her sister Wanda. They sound like they have the best interest as a family to want to, know where Wendy is and take care of her. I just have this inkling of a weird feeling that Wendy is more in control than we're being let on and that she's making more decisions than we think. Okay, so When you get to the length you want, you count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 6, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. So I think I'm probably around 79 really. So you're going to go to the third hook, and for this pattern, you're going to go ahead and turn it on its back. You have a front, and that's got the little V shapes. And then you have a back, what some people call the spine of the crochet, where there's these little bumps. You are going to go into the, you're going to wrap around and go into the second hook from the second or the third? Hang on one second. Second or third? Round two. Not round two. Round one. Chain 79, 85, or 91. Half double crochet into the back bar. This is the back bar of the second chain from the hook. So we don't count what's on the hook. We go 1, 2, and we go into that little bump, which can be kind of tedious at first. You do a half double crochet. So you're going to wrap around, go into the next bump, and I just kind of give myself time with this, and pick up your yarn, and you've got 3 on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Didn't pull through very well, a little splitty. And then you're just going to carry on from there all the way to the end. Make sure you get in every little bone. I'm going to have to put my glasses on in a minute. And I always hate when patterns say work into the back bar, but it really does look better. It gives you a cleaner edge on the other side of it. And for this one, it makes more sense. But you got to make sure you get under the bar and not through the whole thing. So, all right. So you're just going to do that for all of your, and it's easier to just feel them sometimes. So this is what it should look like, right? So you're going to go all the way across. It should look like this. When you get to the other side, you're just going to turn it and slip stitch and chain 1. You're going to make sure you don't twist this. And then from there, you're just going to, I can't tell you the whole pattern, but you're just going to be working front post double crochets and back post double crochets. So you're going to be going around those half double crochets and making double crochets, and in the front post pushing the post forward and then pushing the post back, alternating, and that will give you the ribbed effect you see right here. And then for the rest of it, you're basically just going to be working into the what they call the back bar, but it's really the very front bar here. You're going to be slip stitching, and that gives it that pearl look all the way around that you see here. Gives it this pearl look. So once you get all your half double crochets done into the back, you join with your, you're still working with your G hook, and you're using your G hook for the entire band. So you're doing your front post half double crochet, or your front post double crochets and your back post double crochets. That gives you your ribbing. Then you're chaining 1 and you're slip stitching in all of the back loops. So let's see if I got that right. It's either the front loop or the back loop. Some people call it the third hook. So you have your back bar, not to be confused with your back loop. So you're going to be working your second row, you're just slip stitching into the back loop. And then you're placing a marker, and then you're going to go on and slip stitch into the front loop. And that gives you this really cool texture going on. And then you're just doing a variation of half double crochets and again front post, back post, double crochets, and then again slip stitching into the back loop and slip stitching into the front loop all the way to the top of the crown. That's all you're doing. You're just changing your hook size. So the body of the hat you'll change to your eye hook, which is a 5.50, and the crown of the head you will change to your G hook, and then you'll just follow the repetitions for a small, medium, or large. And the small is the pattern is written for a small, and then the medium repetitions are in parentheses along with a comma, and then the large. And it's pretty darn fun and easy once you get past this back bar. So you get to the end, and I'll come back and do another video so I can show you what it looks like at the end. So I find this is easier to do if I hold it far away from me and just feel for it, especially if it's a darker color. So once you get your ribbing done, should I think like about 6 rows, so yeah, or 5 rows of 5 rows of double front post double crochet, back post double crochet. Your brim is done. I guess you could switch colors with this. I've been thinking about it because I have a really pretty blue I'd like to add with this brown, but if it was a winter kind of hat, I would probably put a pom-pom on it, this blue and brown, because I just like that color together. So looking so far. I'm going to make sure I get each one of those little bumps. And you can turn your hook the other way, like this way. Okay, so what's going on with my YouTube channel? Not that anybody cares, but if you're here listening, thank you. You know, if you stay away for a while, it's just no good. And I told you guys I pretty much didn't want to talk about multiplicity anymore unless there was something, or DID, unless there was something really new happening down the line. There's nothing really ever new about DID or MPD, other than the controversy around it and the treatment for it and the awareness campaigns. That's about it. The alphabet soup changes. So what to call it. In the alphabet soup of diagnoses and diagnoses, there's that. If there's something new in the news, I'll come out and talk about it, but there hasn't been. Really hasn't been. What else? I do want to talk about the tipping culture. I missed one. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that, but that's going to be another video. I was a waitress for years in several different places. And, you know, I always understood that there were going to be people that didn't tip. Even when that was your job and you were living on tips, there were going to be people that just didn't tip. Has anybody noticed everywhere you go these days, there is an already added gratuity tip on everything. Even just some drive-through, it's there. Like if you want a tip. I remember talking to my dad, who owned a family restaurant that I worked in, about adding on gratuity for our servers, because we did get some people that didn't tip, especially when we went to an all-you-can-eat buffet. There were people that just, they felt like, well, I'm getting up, I'm serving myself. What's there to tip a person for? There was a lot to tip us for. We were keeping that buffet going. We were clearing their plates. We were probably clearing more plates than we ever did before. We were constantly bringing them more water, more soda, more wine, more beer, more whatever, more napkins. We were at the table asking, do you want dessert? Are you ready for your check? What can we get you? Blah, 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 blah. Would you like to see the dessert menu? Would you like to see the wine menu? We continued to really wait on them. It wasn't like we slept on silverware and walked away. But that definitely cut into our tips, and I can remember a lot of the waitresses, and we didn't have males at the time; we had just waitresses, saying, I can't do this. When I was doing full service, I was getting tips, but now this buffet, nothing. And I had a little discussion with my dad, and I was like, can we add a gratuity on there? And he did for lunches, because he felt that there were a lot of people that ordered more off the bar than on the bar at lunch. But he was really hesitant to do it at dinner. And this was in the 80s and 90s. And now, everywhere you go, I walked into Little Caesars. I'm going to name it. I walked into Little Caesars the other day to get, like, I don't know, like a lunchbox thing? Like a combo lunchbox thing. And the kid came up to the counter, and he served well, but he came up to the counter and he said, "Can I get you?" I said, "The lunchbox." He said, "Okay, will that be it?" I said, "Yeah." And then I said, "You know what? I really would like a dipping sauce." I didn't get the dipping sauce. I said, "Could I have napkins?" I didn't get the napkins. But there it was, tip. And I added $2 because I didn't want to seem stupid. But for what? Doing your job? That doesn't make sense. Why are we having to tip everyone? No. No. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video about the tipping culture. I don't like it. I don't. Everywhere you go, they add on a tip. Tip. Are you paying for are the employers not paying people enough wage that we got to do that? Okay, this is going to be forever, so I'm not going to stay on camera and do it because I really have to take my time and do this. Yeah. So, if you want to join me later, if you sat through this video, God bless you. Have a nice day. I really wish Wendy Williams so much health. I wish to God that she could get a nice recliner. And I know keeping your legs elevated doesn't help once it gets advanced like that. There is, thank God she has a lymphedema machine. I notice like to just swell from standing. If you have any kind of vascular problems, edema, which I have, you do get the ankles, but it's just horrible. And and it's painful. It really is painful, and it's crippling. And so I pray she get all the help she needs. She's such a lively spirit. It should not be going down this way. And for her son and her to have the life they desire together, and her family, and her niece. And I'm just saying, the energy of Wendy was like, don't be talking about this now. I don't appreciate you playing mama to me right now. But I'm sure they worked that out. But that was very, very obvious to me, is Wendy seemed to shut down when Alex was talking, which was sad because some people probably saw it as her diminished capacity. But I saw it as Wendy is having a diva moment, and she is still very much in control and does not want her niece to be acting like she's not in control. So, yeah. So, and then the other thing again, for those of you that know more about Matt Usley, I mean, I wish his family well, condolences and prayers, and they're going through a rough time. As they're saying it's suicide, but they're not saying really what happened to him. They said he was under investigation. I find it really weird. If you're under investigation for embezzling millions of dollars and the studio costs never got paid, and you're the top executive, I would gather they would have questions for Wendy and all of her crew too. And 2 of those producers of the Wendy show left also. So this is all very sad. And I wish somebody who knows more is able to put documents up and do all those cool videos. I don't know, BJ Investigates, Popcorn Planet, all those people. Look into it more. What happened there? And you know what? I really don't care what Harry and Meghan are doing anymore. I guess I never really cared. I read The Spare, and that was hard to read. I guess I just never really cared that much about Harry and Meghan's problems. I felt like they're not really being truthers of the royals. They're being whiners. They're whining. Because, I mean, you got to know what you go in for. And I don't know. It just seems strange to me. The whole thing seems strange. It's like, if you want to wear the crown, that crown is heavy. It can make your neck hurt. And so there's a cost to wearing that crown. And there's a cost to titles that people are given, royal titles. And that is to be a servant, a public servant. And it's a weighty amount of work for a lifetime. So that was my call to leave. I'm going to get off my computer now and go answer my phone. It's probably a spam risk. But yeah, this is the pattern. This is all you're going to do. Okay, take care. Thanks for watching and hanging in with me. Give me your opinions below. Good or bad, I don't care. Take care. Bye.